What's going on, everybody? Welcome to, and I have the wrong frame. There we go. This is not LSI. This is State of MedTech. Welcome to the show, everybody. Very excited to have you today. I love these ones. You know, anytime we have to look at a really exciting company that will be great for investors. I love doing these shows. This is a good friend of mine who I'm going to bring on, but we're going to take a minute, let everybody file in. And of course, as always, because, you know, this is a great show, but we are using LinkedIn. Hey, I love LinkedIn. We do have some audio video issues sometimes. So while we do a quick check to make sure that everything's working well, you know how the show goes. If you're new to the show, go ahead and look at the comment section. Drop a comment. What city are you joining from? We have people from all around the world joining in today, but I want to hear from you directly. What city are you joining in from? So go ahead and drop a comment below, and we will see where you're joining from while I do this audio video check. So we have a great program today. It's going to be a lot of fun. And let me just do a quick check here. Looks like everything is working. Okay. And by the way, if you can see me and hear me, if you could leave a comment below, that's always a big help. So just let me know. Again, as much as I love LinkedIn, it's not a perfect platform. It does have issues from time to time. So looks like everything's working. Fantastic. All right. Perfect. All right. Oh, good friend Marcus Kunert coming in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hey, Marcus, thanks for joining us. Always appreciate it. I see there's a little bit of a lag time on the comments. So let me give you the format of today. So we have Nathan Harding, who's the CEO and founder of Loom, which is a beauty automation company that uses a robotic platform. Now, for me, as you guys know, I have a robotics background, so I couldn't help but check out this company. It's a fascinating robot, specifically in the beauty industry. There's a lot of antiquated approaches in the beauty industry, so it's really ripe for disruption, especially for a product like this. And before I bring on our guest, there we go. Now I see. Look, I love it. We have all these comments coming in. Let's see who's coming on. We got John Tugwell coming in from Greenwood, South Carolina. We got Destiny Wynn from Miami, Florida. I was just down in Miami. Great city. We got Mala Bly from Montgomery, Alabama. All right, from the International Cloud, we got Rohith DeRose from Chennai, India. Hey, Rohith. And Malha, thank you. I can see and hear you. Much appreciated. I'm always paranoid. If you guys watched the program last night, we had a little bit of technical issue at the very beginning, so I'm glad we got that taken care of. So with that being said, let me bring on my good friend and special guest, Nathan Harding, who's the CEO and co-founder of Loom Precision Labs. Nathan, how you doing? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear you and see you, Omar. It's great to be here. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for jumping on the show. Now, we're going to go into your presentation shortly, but I want to ask a couple of questions. The most important one, again, for those who are watching and those of you who are watching, Nathan, before we jump into the program, can you share a little bit about who can invest, why they can invest, et cetera? So that way you can clear up all those questions at the beginning.
Yeah, so we filed a Form C with the SEC, which allows us to do crowdfunding, which means that non-accredited investors, just regular individuals, they can go to our investment site, which is invest.loomlash.com, and they can place an investment. And it's a great, it's a great way for people who can't really get in a private financing of a startup to invest alongside those larger investors in startups.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And again, for those who are watching, whether it's live right now or on demand, because we know some people can join live, you can go to invest.loomlash, that's spelled LUUM lash.com, and make your investment there. And Nathan, what is the investment window for Loom right now for the equity crowdfunding campaign you have?
I think that we'll wrap that up in December. So about a month.
Got it. Fantastic. So people still have a little bit of time, but obviously these campaigns are always capped at a certain amount. So it's probably more important for people, if they're considering it or interested in it, they try and do it like sooner rather than later, because there's not an infinite amount of equity, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, and there's an SEC limit, so you have to stop we have to stop at $4.2 million. So if the investment starts screaming in, then you could get left behind. That's true.
Got it. Fantastic. Well, why don't we jump right into it? So the first question I have before we jump into your presentation is, what's the problem you guys solve? I mean, as much as I love robots, why does the world need another robot, and why does the beauty industry need one?
Yeah, so I did human exoskeletons before, and we got paralyzed people up and walking. It was amazing. People would cry in our demos. We ended up NASDAQ listed. That was called Exobionics. And I was looking for something to do with robotics where robotics could do way better than a human, that it'd be way more than replacing a human. And in fact, we'd just be augmenting some humans. And I had the luck to talk to a really brilliant advisor of mine who was so-called retiring. And I was like, what are you going to do with your time? Because he was like 48 years old. And he says, well, I just bought a franchise region of Amazing Lash Studios. And I was just like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I was a typical dumb guy. I had no idea how fantastic the beauty industry is, no idea how big it is, none of that. Anyway, he starts telling me what an eyelash extension is and how you glue them on one at a time. So I should give an intro, because there's some people who probably don't know. These are not what are called strip lashes. Strip lashes is a strip that you glue yourself to your eyelid, right? Eyelash extensions are the gold standard of eyelashes, where they take one little fiber that looks just like one of your eyelashes, and they single out a lash on your fan of lashes on your eye, and they glue it directly one-to-one onto that lash. And they, in fact, cannot glue it to two lashes, because if they glue it to two of your lashes, it can result in pain. So when I heard this, I immediately joked with him, like, wow, sounds like a great job for a robot. I thought it was a joke. And then I went on the YouTube, and like a couple days later, when I remembered this conversation, and I started watching it, and I was like, oh my God, this is like a killer app for robotics. It's right at the point of human capability. Like, many people try to train to be lash artists and find out they just can't do it. It's too hard. It's that close to the human ability level. And then when we started studying the market and we did salon owner interviews, and we did focus groups with women about this, we found out that the appointments are typically like 2 hours long. And
wow.
And so,
like, the actual appointment where you go and sit and have this done, it takes 2 hours.
2 hours. And the typical appointment, and what happens is it's incredibly addictive, because your lashes are always shedding. And so even if the bonds are permanent, your lash sheds and it takes the extension with it. And so in 3 or 4 weeks, it starts to look patchy, and it looked fantastic before. So you really want to go back. So it's incredibly addicting. And what we found out was there's this market in the US, there's already more than 1 million women who are the hardcore addicts that do this at least 12 times a year. And they're doing it even though it's a 2-hour procedure where someone is resting. They have to rest the palms of their hands on your forehead for 2 hours and hover right above your face in order to do this. And they're kind of playing with your eyelids. And by the way, post COVID, their mouth is about 6 inches from your mouth for 2 hours, right? So it's crazy. It's this thing that they love to hate. And that is always a market opportunity, right? Because you think about things that were widely adopted when the customer experience still sucked, right? Like the first cars, when you tried to start a car, it could break your arm, but everybody wanted a car because it was so useful, right? And here, this is one of those things. So what we saw was we could really help these lash artists. We could triple their productivity, and we could take all this arduous work out of it, and we could, really expand this market because it's big already, but it has an awful customer experience.
That's interesting. I had no idea about that. Why do you think nothing has there, I mean, between manually applying the lashes and the robotic platform you have today, has anything come out in between since then? Like, it's kind of amazing that this has been a manual process this whole time.
You're as shocked as I am. Like, when I found out about this, I thought for sure somebody was trying to do this, especially because I found out that this was done in, that eyelash extensions had actually started in Korea quite a long time ago. And the eyelash extensions it just spread like wildfire around Asia. And there's all these fantastic roboticists around, right? So you would think somebody would have tried to get onto it. But actually, beauty is usually ignored by automation specialists, is the truth of the matter. And in fact, when we started this, we found that there were only 142 US patents that had the word eyelash in the abstract. So I could read every single US patent in the database on eyelashes, which is just kind of stunning, right? Because in the technology fields that you and I are used to, there's probably 142 patents per hour issuing, right? So it's been completely ignored, and it is a tough problem. So there's a huge moat just based on that. Now we put an even bigger moat behind that because since there was no prior art, we've got an IP portfolio that's amazingly general and protects us really well internationally. So we still have yet to see anybody trying to automate this.
Interesting. That's fascinating. It's really interesting to hear that too. So I'll tell you what, why don't we jump right into the presentation that you have? So for those who are watching, Mala Bly has a validating comment. She said, yeah, it's like 2 hours, and sometimes they rest their hands on the bridge of your nose. Interesting. Yeah.
Worse, right?
So Nathan, I'll let you share your screen and walk us through your deck. For the audience who's watching, couple things, rules of engagement. One is, feel free to drop a comment, because if you have a comment, I'll bring it up in the middle of the presentation and we'll address it right then and there. And hey, we're doing a lot of work here to entertain you. So if you like what you're seeing, drop a comment, let us know what you like, what you don't like, and slam that emoji button, please. We're doing a lot of work here. So just take your thumb, hit that emoji button, because that helps more people see this broadcast. And again, the most important thing is this is America, and we like to see amazing companies and technologies get the funding that they need to change the way we live. And look, just as a piece of validation, I'm going to be a little personal here. I see the value in this, even though I don't get eyelash extensions, because myself, I worked in the beauty industry many years ago. I worked at the first robotic hair restoration company. And this amazing head of hair I have was because I used a robot to place the hairs, right? The robot is a lot more accurate and safer and faster. And more importantly, because of computer vision, it's able to place the hair exactly where it needs to be. And, that was many years ago. And I'll tell you, I look amazing. My wife thinks so too, so I see a lot of value in this. So let me bring up your presentation here. All right. All right. Well, fantastic. So that's the robot. So talk
Yeah.
us through, like, what are we seeing here?
Yeah. So this is the inside of our machine. And you see there's two robots, actually. The one on the left has a blue tool, and the one on the right has gray and white tools. We call those end effectors. And the robot on the left is actually picking up extensions and dipping them in glue. And then it goes and it places them on a target lash. And what I mean by a target lash is that's a lash that's been separated from the other lashes. So people think your lashes look like straight, but really they're kind of crisscrossed and matted. And that robot in the background now with the white and gray tools, it has to kind of pick through your lashes and find an isolated lash. And this is just what the humans do. But of course, robots have the ability to do it with much more precision, and they'll be able to do it way faster eventually as well.
Interesting. What was the most difficult part about the technology? I mean, were you able to borrow applications from other robotic systems that made this possible? Because this looks extremely complicated.
Yes. So let me go back. I got to jump the gun there on that. So if you look in here, this is, for one thing, each of these robots is really what we call a micro manipulator that's hanging on an industrial robot above. So the robots that are above, that are moving these assemblies around, are standard off-the-shelf industrial robots. So we have that. Then, of course, there's a lot of lens and camera technology available right now for doing computer vision applications and automation. So you see the cameras here on this robot. You can't see the cameras on this robot right now. But then also these kind of actuators that are moving, like this assembly in here. This is pretty standard automation stuff. And in fact, we had it, since this is not the secret sauce of what we're doing, we outsource that design, even though that's my background. My background is designing stuff exactly like that. But we outsource it, and, those designs are rock solid because it's pretty well known how to do that kind of automated assembly now. And they run incredibly reliably.
Interesting. What about computer vision? How much is there any computer vision that's involved with the technology that we're looking at right now?
It's so tons. So and that's truly where the secret sauce is. And so you see that it's all computer vision. So you see there's cameras here, and there's two cameras. And the reason there's two cameras is the exact same reason there's two cameras in all animals. It's so that we can tell depth. So you use the difference between the two images of each of your eyes to determine depth of field and how far away something is. And if you look at this system, it has to look and find where their eye is, because you can't place someone's eye in exactly the same place every time. It also has to look, if you look at that eye mask down there where it's putting that lash right now, there's blue and green stripes on there, and those are so that it can measure the depth of where that mask is. Because when it puts those little tips in to try to go into the lash field and get that isolated lash, it has to know where that is. And then, of course, tons of what we do is just looking at lashes, and we have to look at them. We have to decide, is this lash isolated or not? We also have to build a three-dimensional model of the lash, because when you come in, you not only have to just place it on that target lash, but you have to actually kind of do a paint maneuver to paint the adhesive that's on the extension onto the lash, and then place the lash.
Interesting. You did have, so something I have to ask, like, safety wise, like, how safe is this? Because I'm sure, the first thing that goes through my mind is, like, I'd be kind of freaked out if a robot has, like, a sharp thing. Yeah. So I saw this. So tell us what we're seeing here. It's kind of self-explanatory, but
yeah. So this is a video that shows that we can't even break a piece of toilet paper with our machine. So what my co-founder, genius co-founder, Dr. Kurt Amundsen, came up with on safety here was amazing, because it means that there's absolutely no software in our safety system. It's entirely mechanical. And what we did,
so can you repeat that? That's a very important feature you just mentioned.
it's huge. There is no software in our safety system. And that is something that Kurt and I really wanted to do, because at Exobionics, we had these people wearing a robot. There was really no way to do that. And when your software is in your safety system, it's like you're trying to run in molasses, because every little bug fix you do, it might have ruined your safety somehow, right? So you have to revalidate you didn't hurt your safety system by changing the software a little. And it makes development way slower, which with the thing like this, where you're going to have to rev software a lot to get to the goal line, you don't want that to happen. So this is what we did. We took the robots, we put them in this big box. The client's face is presented through a window, and we stop the robots out with physical mechanical stops, so that there is nothing hard that can it actually can't reach the client's face. It's just impossible. It can't get there. The only things that can get there are these little tools, we call them end effectors, that reach through the window to your face. And what we did is, we not only put soft tips on the tools, like this has a little rubber tip on it, but we mounted them to little magnets that hold them onto the rest of the robotics, so that if they hit anything, they just fall off. So now, if you were to suddenly sneeze and you just thrust your eyelids straight towards the machine. By the way, your eyes are always closed, and they're held closed by our unique upper and lower eye mask. Even if you did that, the tools just fall off. And they fall off, and we just pick them up and we put clean ones on, and we hit go again, and it keeps going. So that's about as dramatic of an accident as we can have. And that's a really awesome thing to know when you're developing a machine like this, because you certainly don't want to ever hurt anybody.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really huge. That's the first time I've seen that a safety feature is more mechanical than it is software. Because that's like the one thing that I often hear in the medtech world, which is there's a safety feature. It's like, well, what if the software doesn't work? And I guess in this case, it doesn't matter.
That's right. It doesn't matter. I mean, a hacker could get into our code and try to hurt someone, and they physically can't do it. It's impossible.
Got it. So let's talk about efficiency. And so I want to cover a few product questions. And again, for those who are in the audience, I see like a lot of nice replies. So Mario, thanks for the comment about the explanation. So Nathan, share a little bit more about the product. I have some questions specifically about the company as an investment product, but we'll get to that in a moment. But tell us a little bit more about the product. What about like efficiency? And I'll use sort of a medical term here, but like the disposables, which is these eyelashes. Like, is it agnostic? Are you guys partner with the company? Like, what can you tell us there?
We're somewhat.
And while you discuss that, could you go to the next screen showing the robot placing the lashes?
Okay, yeah. Let's go back. Yeah, to this one, and I'll get that right. Okay, so I guess you asked a number of things there, but let's just talk about the product. So we have two go-to-market strategies. Number one is what you might imagine is to have our own stores with machines doing this. And number two is to go to partners that have lots of bricks and mortar retail space already, and they need customers to be coming back. So they want to offer some addictive service within that location. And we want to put machines there. And so when you think of the cosmetics retailers are the natural first partners for that. And, Ulta Beauty is an investor of ours. We're talking to them about a pilot.
Did you say Ulta Beauty is an investor?
Yeah, Ulta Beauty. And they're the US's largest cosmetics reseller. They have 1,300 locations that are perfect for our machines. So that's a fantastic potential partner. We have another partner that I can't say the name of. It's a top 5 US cosmetics brand. that has, probably 500 locations where we could put machines. And we're doing a pilot with them in the first quarter. That'll
Do
be
you mind if I put a banner up just for those who I see some more people who just jumped in. Do you mind if I put a banner up mentioning Ulta as a partner?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, they're a great supporter of ours. They're an investor, I guess would technically be the more appropriate term so far. So we
Got
have
it.
one marquee customer investor and one marquee customer that's already a partner of ours. And the great thing about that business plan, of course, is those entities, they could order 200 machines. They could say, hey, let's do 200 machines over the next 6 months, right? Because they have this giant organization in all these locations ready for this kind of thing. So that's a very exciting business plan. And the reason that we can talk about these different business plans is because at the core of this, we have a machine that it only costs about $125,000 to build, and it will be able to produce about $3 million in really highly profitable revenue over its life. And in the case where that's revenue of our partner, we can ask for a lot of that in fees. We do a pay-per-use fee because it's so profitable. And the reason it's so profitable is, like, just think about this. This is what I love about this. We're taking a business right now that's really profitable. It's a 35 to 45% gross margin business in all these franchises and all these mom and pop locations. And we take that 35 to 45% gross margin business that, by the way, all of the cost is labor almost. There's like a couple dollars of other stuff. It's all labor, right? And we're going to take that labor. We're going to make that lash artist 3 times faster at what she does. And so all of a sudden the labor's crunched down, and now the margin is just kind of off the charts. And
What's the margin, like, conservative speaking, after you implement something like Loom? If it's 35% now, what would it be after Loom?
Yeah, it gets to around 80%, I think is the number. Because you take the 75, you squeeze that to the, yeah, it's right around 80%. It's amazing. So then we can say we're going to charge our partner $30 every time they run the machine, which some people would be like, whoa, that's 30% of their revenue. It sounds like a lot, but it doesn't matter because their margin's so high. They're actually going to do better than us still.
So the margin's high because you're reducing the need for labor, and then you're able to just do more with volume, essentially.
Yeah, because one lash artist, instead of one of their lash artists being able to do 5 clients a day, they're going to do 15 clients a day with the machine.
That's huge. That's huge. And so I can only imagine for a beauty salon or one of those like franchises, like, especially during, let's say, like wedding season, like, or prom, or there's something that's going on all year round. And, I'm sure you've seen it in Berkeley, down here in SoCal. I see is that when those things roll around, I mean, it's so, like, all these salons are just packed. And so then, clients can't get service. I've heard of people, like, for a haircut, like driving 2 hours away because, like, they have a wedding coming up, right? Or some big event. So that's huge, actually. That's really big.
And, when you talk about that kind of thing in the partnership model, another thing we really want to do is reach out to people in hospitality, large hotel chains, because for a lot of women, eyelash extensions are a thing that line up with vacation because they're perfect for vacation.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like I could see something like this now that you mentioned, like in a place like at the Ritz-Carlton or the Hyatt or something.
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
And it seems like it takes up a small footprint too.
Oh yeah. It's only the machine that we'll build next for a partner only takes up 46 square feet. So, and that's an amazing thing that we point out to them is, look, this will be $12,000 per square foot real estate on your floor. That's the revenue, the annual revenue. That's $12,000 per square foot, which is like Apple retail type performance. Like nobody in retail hits that.
Wait,
But
can you explain that real quick about the square footage and the money associated? I've never heard that before. So can you explain this to us?
yeah, so when you have a retail location, one of the typical metrics people look at is the amount of revenue per square foot per year, right? So if you look at our machine can do about $500,000 of revenue per year, and
Mm-hmm.
it's only around 50 square feet. So it comes out to about 12,000 actually. $12,000 per year per square foot, which is kind of off the charts.
That's yeah, that's pretty impressive. Is that a metric usually? Because I don't know. I feel like that should be used in more things like with capital equipment. But is that a an analogy that's or not analogy? Is that a metric often used like in the consumer world, which is like revenue per square foot?
Yeah, yeah, it is totally. It's one of the metrics that people who invest in things like multi-unit retail chains, private equity investors that do those kind of deals, they really concentrate on that revenue per square foot metric.
Wow, got it, got it. That's amazing. Let me let you kind of move forward. I do have some other questions for you, but I know you have some other slides, so go ahead and kind of keep walking us through.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of jumping around out of
No,
order.
no, totally okay. And by the way, I see like more and more people joining. So if you're just joining now, like if you have, first of all, if you're interested to invest in Loom as a retail investor, you don't have to be accredited. You can go to invest.loomlash.com. And then if you have a question, please just drop it in the comments. I'll highlight it. Otherwise, like, yeah, just sit back and enjoy the show. Hit the emoji button, if anything. Nathan, go ahead. Please continue.
We've already talked a little bit about the IPs, but one of the great things about there not being any previous IP in this area is that we're able to get these incredibly general claims and get them all over the world, and they come back really fast. So we're building a really great patent portfolio that it basically generally patents, and this is usually not available to technologists anymore. There aren't markets that haven't been looked at like this, but it generally patents the idea of using a robotic mechanism to lay an artificial eyelash extension alongside a natural lash, which is just kind of, to me as a patent geek, both Kurt and I are big patent geeks. We probably have 40 US patents between us already. This was just, huge. We never even read patents like this were this strong before. We've had fantastic luck with our Oakland studio, which you can sign up if you live near Oakland. You can sign up for an appointment. We do $95 appointments right now, and to give you an idea, we did a client test of 250 clients that we ran through last year, and the net promoter score was 82%. That means 82% of the people would recommend it to a friend, which is off the charts. Like my co-founder CMO Rachel's like, we shouldn't talk about that so much because it's so high. It's almost unbelievable. And going into that client test, I was terrified because the machine, we have demonstration units right now. They're not really the machines we expected to deploy with. They're big and intimidating and white. They look like basically like big MRIs or something.
Mhm.
And also they were just as slow as a human at the time. There was no speed. I mean, we were just demonstrating that, look, we can do every part of the process, and so we proved it technologically that it can be done. And you know what? The crazy thing was they liked it better than the manual service, which we never saw coming.
Why do you think that was the case?
And it was all about like your viewer who commented about them putting their hands on your nose and all that.
Oh, right, right, right,
It's
right,
all
right.
about this. The experience is so different because when you go in our machine, you put your headphones on, the machine's like dead quiet. You can't even hear it. And what you feel is just a little tickling on your eyelashes, like they talk about butterfly kisses, if you remember that kids game. It's just like a little tickling on your eyelashes. So it's a completely different experience. It's much less invasive and uncomfortable. And so that was just, a fantastic thing to find out.
Got it. And then for those who are new to it, the net promoter score, a passing score is a 70, correct?
Yeah, well, anything above a 70 is really good.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
that's
Got it.
anything above a 70 is fantastic.
Got it.
Um, so uh, so these are some of the numbers that we are just talking about on, and this is talking about the strategy of looking at partners. And you can see that there's, the machine runs 15 clients per day with one lash artist. Well, that's 3 times the average they could do right now. We average price. So when you're actually doing lash jobs, you're doing you're doing 70% refills for the people who are coming back every 3 or 4 weeks. And then you're doing 30% new full sets. So the average price comes out to about 107 in our model, which is definitely under what the franchises do. And we assume just a 75% utilization in later years. In the first year, we only assume 50% utilization. And anyway, the thing I want to emphasize on this model is, if you look down here, this looms economics, we get paid back the cost of building the machine in 6.5 months. They get paid back even faster. They get paid back in 5.2 months. And the interesting thing about these conversations with these places like Ulta is that we tell them all this. We're like, this is going to be the best real estate on your floor, and they're like, yeah. But you know what? How many times a year are they going to come back in? because that's really what they're focused on. So
because it does such a good job. It's not okay. Yeah. So what's your answer to that? Which is if you do such a good job, they're not going to come back in.
Or no, they're going to come back in. So remember, it's a property of humans that cause you to need to come back in, because it's the lash cycle. Your natural lashes shed. They're shedding constantly. In fact, just watch tomorrow your keyboard, and you'll notice at least one eyelash on your keyboard.
You know what's so funny? You probably can't see it, but I just looked down. I do actually have one eyelash there. That's so funny.
There you go, right? So there's no way to really fix that, right? That's just a property of humans. So the answer to the question is, they're going to come in at least 12 times a year. And that's just phenomenal for them, because of course they're like, oh, that's great, because they're going to put off their cosmetics needs till they come in, and then they're going to buy it all from us. And
wait, I just want to, I got to push back on it. So you're saying that they get this process, they get the loom lash done based on how the average eyelash sheds within 30 days. You're saying that somebody's going to come back in within a month?
Yeah, you typically want to come back at the 3-week mark. Some people, it depends
like
on
getting a haircut.
Yeah, it's even more often than that, right? Because some people's lash cycle, they need to come in every 2 weeks, and some they need to come in every 4 weeks. The average is kind of right around 3 weeks.
And for the consumer, you may have covered this earlier, but if you're a consumer, you covered, what do you normally pay?
So if you come in for that refill, it's typically about $100 right now in the major franchises. So it's a $1,200 a year habit.
And that's with the current standard, like the manual.
Yeah, that's right. And in our financial model here, we assume only charging $80 every refill, just to be more conservative about it. It's not clear that, to be honest, it's not clear that we have to reduce price at all. In fact, we could probably even charge.
You could probably charge more, I would say.
Right, exactly. So we don't know if we do that, but when you build a financial model, of course, you want to be conservative.
Of course.
So we assume a lower revenue.
And that $80 also takes into account the cost of the actual lash being placed and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah, it's all. So we charge $80. There will be some element. Most of the cost during that session will still be the lash artist's labor. And then there will be a little bit of cost, maybe around $5, that have to do with the consumables.
Interesting. Now, obviously, you're consumable agnostic, but like in the world of eyelashes, again, I have no idea. What's the, like, is there such a thing as the Rolls Royce or Bentley of eyelashes?
Oh, so yes, and eyelash extensions are it. Eyes are the queens of beauty, right? Eyelashes in particular. So there's mascara, which is one level, right? And that's it's so low price that it's not a huge revenue business, but it's a ubiquitous business, and that's 6,000 years old, right? That business, and
Yeah.
then you go to strip lashes, which people will use maybe for a party or something, but
So I hate those things, by the way.
yeah,
So ugly.
they just never look quite right. Even that they're getting better, but they still don't look quite right. And they also have embarrassing ways to fail. And
Oh my God. Yeah. Like when they're like hanging off and stuff.
yeah. So that's a level up from mascara, but still, has its issues. And then there's eyelash extensions where, a lot eyelash extensions are so good that a lot of customers, they want a natural look so that they look just like they have great genetics. They just happen to have fantastic eyelashes all the time. And the truth is, most women don't even know how to tell those people. They have to ask them. There's a trick, actually, I learned since I'm in the business. But
What's the trick?
the trick is you look at their lower lash. Anybody who has fantastic upper lashes and no lower lashes, they don't that those are extensions because
Got it. But
because
nobody looks that close, right?
yeah, that's right. So they don't even know. And the hilarious thing is you'll talk to women who say like, I'm totally addicted to eyelash extensions and I'm engaged and I can't decide when to tell my fiance that, I have this $2,000 a year habit and these aren't really my eyelashes. Because you can't tell. It's amazing, right? So it's the gold standard of eyelashes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I know you covered, but again, I've seen. We do have a question from Destiny Win. So, Destiny, I'm going to bring your question up. The question is: can the client select the style of lashes they want? For example, a more natural look versus a dramatic, voluminous look, or is the same style for everyone? That's a good question. Yeah, can they?
That's a really good question. So they will be able to select styles, any style they want, and this will be a thing that we'll work out with partners how simple or complicated they want to be, and this is why I brought up this to talk about. So this the style is really to the robot. It's just a recipe. So the short answer to your question is this part is really easy for robots because to robots, as you move along the lash line, a style is how much the length of the lashes varies on the lash line. So like if you look at this style, it has a really bold, hard corner out here. This isn't quite a cat eye, but this is a bolder look out here. It looks less natural. It kind of says like, I think there might be something fake going on here.
I don't know. If I saw eyelashes, I would not even think about like whether they're fake or not. Those just look like beautiful lashes.
They look great, right?
They look fantastic.
But if she wanted to have it look a little more natural, the style would have shorter lashes out here at the corner of the eye. And of course, to a robot, this is like painting by numbers. It's a recipe, right? So if you say, I want the cat eye look, the robot knows like, oh, okay, I use this recipe. And then we can allow people to vary the length of the lashes, the density of the lashes, and also the curl of the lashes. The curl of the lashes is usually varied based on a person's anatomy, and that's a decision that the lash artist usually makes based on which way your lashes point naturally.
Interesting. So a few more, so if you're just joining us live again, we're with Nathan Harding, the CEO and co-founder of Loom Precision Lash. So go ahead and ask us a question. Again, if you're as convinced about this as I am, go head over to invest.loomlash.com to learn more and make an investment in the company. So Nathan, you definitely covered this in various areas, but just to kind of like not summarize, but I just want to touch on it again. What makes you guys like a great investment vehicle, right? Because essentially when you're raising money, you have two products. You have a product for the market and you have a product for investors. So for an investor, what makes this a great investment vehicle? It's obvious to me, but I kind of want you to like touch upon it
Yeah.
again.
Well, I mean, we're still a private company, and we're in that stage where usually only what are called angel investors who write big checks, um, or uh, or venture capitalists can invest, right? And so, these investments, it's a tech investment, so of course it's really high risk. But why people like them is that they tend to either go really big or they go zero. A lot of them do go zero, so you should know that, right? This is it's a tech startup, so there's definitely risk of that. But if you look at our financial model, and if we can stay on that course, in 5 to 7 years, we should be in unicorn land, which would mean that our investors now get a 10 to 20x payout, which is a fantastic thing. But it's that's another thing that people should know about this type of investment, is that it takes a long time to get liquid, right? You don't buy our stock today and then sell it next year. You've got to wait a few years. But all of that said, it's a unique opportunity caused by the new legislation that allows crowdfunding for people to be able to invest in startups that would normally only be invested in by venture capitalists and angel investors.
Interesting. I'll tell you, like, at least from my perspective, what I like about this is that, during we got another good question from John. John, I'm bringing your question up next. So during the time of like hard economic times, like what I've noticed over the years is that you would think that during hard economic times people spend less money, but in fact they spend more money. I mean, you know, Jeff Bezos became richer during COVID, even though there's like a lot of unemployment and everything. People just spend more money on booze and beauty. And, consumer spending just constantly goes up during the bad times and it continues to go up during the good times. What I like about this is that it makes sense. It's not something that like, at first I'm not going to lie. I was originally skeptical. I was like, okay, is somebody really going to be okay with a robot doing this? But as Mala just pointed out, like this is a 2-hour procedure. They're like resting their hands on your nose while they're doing it. And so this is faster. There's better quality. And, at the end of the day, if somebody's willing to spend 30, 40, 50, $60 on certain lashes, they're going to spend $100 to get a better quality lash and for it to look good. And what I like about this is that it's an aesthetic thing. So anytime aesthetics are involved, the moment somebody's willing to spend money on it, they're willing to spend more money to get like the premium, the best quality, something that's gonna be reliable. Because the last thing you want to do is spend to be cheap on something and then it's like obvious. Which is why, like for me, from when it came to my hair restoration, I didn't just go and get like the cheapest procedure. I went and got a robotic procedure done because and it shows. It looks extremely good and natural. So this is actually an interesting question that John toggled. John's question is: are men doing this? I have a feeling certain populations of men are doing this actually, because there are men that I know that do wear certain levels of makeup. But Nathan, educate us a little bit about this.
So I mean, admittedly, the number of men that are doing it is small, but there are definitely some men doing it. And one of the things I learned in focus groups when I started this venture and was checking out the market was eyelashes count for men as well. It's funny, I'm forgetting the name of the actor, but in 2 of our focus groups, women brought up the actor who he played the actor in the series Entourage, the guy who's was the
actually here the main guy.
The guy who was the actor that they all followed.
Yeah. Hold on. While you're talking, I'm gonna bring this picture up. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So his lashes apparently are a thing that women really talk about. So it's definitely a thing that I think will happen eventually for men. And a great thing for men about this is that thing where if you pick the right style, we can make it. We can just make it look so natural, no one would even know. So men wouldn't even have to say that they're getting it.
Interesting. Here, I'll share my screen for a second. Yeah, that's actually interesting. Here we go. Where are we? Oops. Am I dateable? Yeah, I am dateable, but I'm sorry, ladies.
There he is. That's yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that? Yeah. So yeah, I guess. I mean, again, I never thought about it, but yeah. So in your focus groups, women actually talked about how this guy's eyelashes
Yeah, in two different
made him
focus
more
groups.
attractive.
He came up and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, he's got great lashes." It's really
Interesting.
funny. Yeah. So eyelash extensions apparently could do men well, and I think someday we'll see that. It'll be just like Botox. Which, by the way, a co-founder I haven't mentioned yet is Lynn Hublein, who the other beauty business she co-founded. She's amazing. She co-founded a successful tech startup as well, but she co-founded a beauty business called Skin Spirit, and she's the CEO of that business.
Oh wow.
And she's now the largest Botox reseller in the U.S. And she's our chairwoman. And she really saw in this some of the things you talked about like recession proof. It's a lot like Botox. It's something you really don't want to give up once you're addicted. And it's actually, another analogy is it's about the same spend per year. It's about $1,200 a year to do Botox. It's about $1,200 a year to do this. So there's a lot of analogies that transfer, and so that's why she was so interested in this. There's one big difference, though, is that this eyelash extensions is already appealing to a much younger crowd. I mean, everyone's talking about Botox now, how it's moving into men, and it's moving down the age spectrum to younger and younger women. But eyelash extensions, ask any 16-year-old, a 16-year-old woman if they know about eyelash extensions, and they'll tell you, yeah, I got friends doing eyelash extensions.
Interesting. Well, Nathan, I was gonna say, as we kind of wrap up, is there anything else you want to share with us? Any other slides you want to walk us through? And I'm gonna look to the audience and see if they have any other questions as well.
Yeah, I don't think I'll bring up any other slides. I'll just say that we have a unique opportunity here to really transform a market, and because we can transform it for the client, number one, because the client is going to get a much less invasive, a much more consistent process that we haven't even talked about that, and a much faster process, right? So total transformation for the client. Then we're going to also transform it for the lash artist, because this lash artist job is tough, and you won't find many people who do it for more than a decade because it's so hard on your body. And so we're going to give them this tool where they're going to get to focus on their artistry, and we're going to take all the drudgery out of it, and they're going to be able to do 3 times more clients. So and not get the injuries associated with spending their whole day like this, right? So it's going to transform for them. And then the third transformation is for the investor, because instead of this being another type of business where there's a smaller margin on expensive labor, we're going to really increase their productivity so that the margins are unbelievable.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to mention, and maybe maybe this is the wrong way to think about it. From the investment standpoint, there's a lot of focus on SaaS products, because obviously there's there's low production costs associated with very high margins. The one thing that I don't think people realize with SaaS products is that just as easy as they are to adopt, they're very easy to get rid of, because it's a SaaS product and you're not looking at it every single day. The thing I like about physical hardware that's especially in the consumer world is that once you invest in it, the person who's purchased it, like let's say in this case a salon, they're going to make it work because it's a physical thing that they have to see every single day,
Yeah.
right? And more importantly, again, like I saw the later versions of the robot. It's a very attractive thing, and so it is something that any consumer, if they walk into a store, they're going to inquire about it, right? It's got some kind of virality of word of mouth associated to it that I personally, as a marketer, am really attracted to.
Yeah, I will bring up one thing. I'm going to reshare my screen.
Yeah, go for it.
And
And
I
and
think I've
and
got I think in this deck I've got a. Can you see my screen again?
here we go. Yep.
Okay. I think I've got a good.
And I was gonna say I did follow you guys. I checked you guys out on like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. I mean, you're right. A lot. Your social media reach has been really impressive, and it seems like I mean I've seen a lot of beauty influencers resharing your stuff, and this is very very early on. So I can only imagine when people walk into a physical store and they're seeing this, how easy it is for people who are just regular people with a TikTok account are just going to videotape this because it's so unbelievable.
Yeah, we do get a lot of influencers, and we just recently had Marina Mojilko, which I think between her 4 YouTube channels, she has like 15 million followers.
Yeah, that's the one who I saw.
Yeah, and she's going to place an investment, by the way. So that's fantastic. If you look, this is a concept of what a store could look like, and you can see how this is a concept where the machine, the top of the machine would swing over the chairs. We're probably, for space reasons, we're going to change it up. We're going to do one where the chair kind of swings under the machine, but it'll still be beautiful and amazing. And I think, just like you say, like, everybody's going to be talking about, like, hey, did you hear these people are doing eyelash extensions but with robots? And it's
Yeah,
really fun. And by the way, women are way more technology positive on this kind of thing than men. When we did our focus groups, I was just shocked. I mean, they're really, once you show women the safety system on this, they're just like, oh man, I'm ready, let me do it. It's great.
that's amazing. Yeah, and I personally, I mean, I can't wait to see you guys go like fully commercial because I just, again, from my marketing filter, what people love to take video of and TikToks are things that are different, that are going to get like the attention of somebody. And so there's just inherent virality built into this thing. And I'm like, oh man, like as a marketing guy, I'm just like, man, like that, like I hope I have a product that has that much virality built into it. And I think that's the biggest thing. What I like is, if you think about human behavior, what does it take to really get somebody to adopt a new technology? A lot of mimicry is involved. So like if you see people talking about it, posting about it, etc., right? That's
Yeah.
that just ends up happening naturally, right?
Yeah, exactly. And by
So,
the way, this is a picture of our Oakland studio right now that you can get a lash appointment in. And in fact, I'm sitting in that chair right there.
oh, fantastic. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought I noticed it. So
And
awesome.
co-founder, CMO Rachel Gold, she's a genius at this stuff, and so we really just kind of want to level up the whole industry of lash extensions.
Fantastic. I love it. Well, let me take a look. I think we covered a lot of ground. I'll wait to see if the audience has any other questions. But Nathan, I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for coming on and sharing this opportunity with us. Again, let me bring up the banner so people know. So if you're interested, and again, anybody can go and make an investment in this. Just go to invest.loomlash.com. That's LUUMLASH.com. Full deck is there, all the information's there, and then it's a pretty easy way to invest. You just click a button and go ahead and invest. Is there any other details to that I'm leaving out, Nathan?
No, I think we've said it. Thanks a lot for having me. It's great. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Omar, but it's great to be on your show finally as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully a year or two from now having you back on the show when you guys hit $1 billion status and we'd be like, remember that live stream we did? So I'm super excited for you guys. It looks like those are all the questions that we have for now. So for those who are watching this, go check out the investment at invest.loomlash.com. And I mean, look, as a new investor, take this live stream, send the link to your friends and family. This is going to be on replay so people can watch this and make the decision themselves. But yeah, these are the kind of investments that you should check out. Again, as Nathan mentioned, investing in any startup is extremely risky. Most of them do fail, so keep that in mind. But the ones that make it through when they have the right team, the right product, the right market, that's when you have these amazing like 10x, 20x, 30x multiples, and you hear these success stories of like, I bought my house from this investment, right? So that could be the case here. We'll leave it up to you to decide. So with that being said, my name is Omar Khateeb. This is another edition of the State of MedTech. We'll be seeing you all next time. Nathan, go ahead and stick around. We'll chat right now, and we'll see you all later. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.